guys, so this is the final day of the psychological portion, and then we're going to move on to the next one, which is personal. But in this one, we're going to look at psychological long-term, because in one of the previous videos, we talked about the immediate object you could have in your hand that would help give you like that 30-second vacation just to get you away from things and get you focused. Then in the other psychological video, I talked about how you need something with you to keep you comforted, to keep the boredom away, because that happens all the time. When I was a shelter manager, there were people who started getting bored, and then all of a sudden the financial obligations and the things around them began to overwhelm them, and then they didn't know what to do, and they started spiraling down into this place of despair. And I wanted to try to pull them up and try to keep people focused, so I did whatever I could. I used to sometimes bring in DVDs. I did whatever I could to help get people out of that condition of boredom, because that is such a sabotage when you're trying to respond to a disaster. And then this last one is long-term. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is a long-term disaster recovery. It could be anywhere from weeks to months to even years. So when I was down in the Palisades earlier in 2025, which they had the massive wildfires in January of 2025, I went down to the Palisades. I actually have a video where I visited and I show you how to return to your house after a wildfire if your home has actually been burned down. What's safe, what is unsafe, and so forth. But what the things I realized is, in talking with the residents, and I have a video coming out fairly soon where I'm going to be talking about this in more depth, is how long it's going to take for people to get back into their homes. There are political issues, there are economic issues, there are social issues, there are legal issues. All these play into people not being able to go back into their homes. And in fact, one of the people I told actually said that she was planning to return to her home in 2027 because the home wasn't even going to be built in time. So that she actually bought another house in another state where she was actually going to be living for a few years. Then she was going to sell that house and then return to Los Angeles. Not everyone can do that. I know people who sometimes have to stay at friends' houses for a long period of time. Sometimes they have to couch surf. I did this when I was younger and I was in a massive hurricane. I was couch surfing, going from place to place to place because I was working 14-hour days, and I went back and I had a close friend who allowed me to couch surf, and he and his girlfriend were serving me dinners at night. It was so awesome. But I realized that even then, psychologically, it can drain you long term. And you're going to feel a lot of emotions. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to feel happy. You're allowed to feel all the emotions you're feeling. Anger, frustration. These are all cycles of emotions you're going to go through throughout the disaster recovery. It's a traumatic event, and you're a survivor, and being able to get through that trauma is not easy to do. So here's what I want you to do on this final day in talking about recovery and putting an item in the backpack. What I want you to do is I want you to find an object from your home. Find something that'll give you a sense of making it a home wherever you are going, even if you're in a hotel room. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to find an object or something that gives you a sensory experience of it being at home. Even if it's a little framed photograph, put that in the disaster backpack. If it's a scent, put that in the disaster backpack. So if you're like, I love that smell of vanilla, okay, go buy a bottle of vanilla. You can get those lotions. They're small. Put them in the backpack, and then every day smell it a little bit, because if that's what the house smells like, make it feel at home as possible. Anything that'll really make you feel like you're at home, even if it's just a decorative item. Something that you're just putting on the shelf. For example, I absolutely love ancient Egypt, and when I was a kid, I wanted to be an Egyptologist. And so one of the things that I do is I actually have a little statue from ancient Egypt that I've put actually in there. It's like an obelisk, which is one of those towers that they had in ancient Egypt, which had all kinds of iconography on there. I keep one of those, and whenever I have to evacuate, if I have to go to a hotel, I can quickly slip it out and I can put it out, and it makes me feel at home, because ancient Egypt for me reminds me of my childhood. I just want you to find something that is easy enough for you to be able to put it into that backpack. I want you to keep it in there. So find an extra of whatever it is, put it in there, don't move it, don't take it out of it. But then when there's a recovery during a disaster, I want you to use that as a way to make yourself feel better. anything will work. Anything at all. Just something that'll make wherever you're going feel like home. And every time you're moving from a couch to a couch, or if you're going to a hotel, take it out and put it out as if that were your house, because then it'll feel like a home until you can come back to your real home. It's these elements of recovery. It's the little things, again, that your backpack is offering you, no matter what's going on around you, where you are, no matter where you ESIPL, wherever you're going, you will always have objects there that will make you feel as though you have some comfort. Don't neglect the psychological side, because when people begin to feel like things are hopeless, then it begins to spiral down. It's the little things that can make such a big difference. So don't forget about that, because even if you go to a therapist on a regular basis or whatever, if they are affected by the disaster too and they aren't available, you've got to have something that gives you that comfort that is so important in any disaster. This is Disaster Patrick, and remember, prepare for a disaster and you'll never experience one.